And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Howdy folks, Darren back with you here at Cross Timbers Farm. Welcome to 8th Day Chronicles. Glad to have you with us today. And an absolutely gorgeous day to be outside enjoying the creation that the good Lord has made. This is the day the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you, Lord, for such a beautiful day, for allowing us to be on such a beautiful little small farm, and it's just good to be alive. Today we have the Honda Foreman out and the North Star boom sprayer, the little sprayer that goes behind our ATV, and we're heading toward the reclaimed hayfield. If you followed along with our channel very long, you know about the weed load in our reclaimed hayfield. The progress we've been making there has been very good. We're not done. Yesterday after church, yesterday was Sunday, today's Monday, I went out when we got home, and I went out and walked all of our hayfields very closely. Not every inch, but I made laps through the hayfields, inspecting the hay growth and the weeds. Very happy to say that our main hay fields and our test plot, the weed load in it is very, very minimal. Very happy with the spring weeds. Now, if you are a hay farmer, you know all about spring weeds and midsummer weeds and then fall weeds. Spring of the year, spring weeds are emerging. Our main weed here on our farm in the spring is plantain, buttercup. That's our two main weeds. With the plantain, you could throw in dandelion. We got dandelion, not a lot in our hay fields. We got some in our home yard, bad, but I must take care of. But in our hay fields, the dandelions are minimal. The plantain is minimal. Buttercup is very minimal in our main hay fields and in our test plot. However, if you've been keeping up with our channel very long, you know right back here, reclaimed hay field, we've had a weed load back there that we've been working on for a couple of years. Through clipping, mowing, clipping, whichever you'd rather refer to that as, and spraying. And the spring weeds are out. Last year we sprayed the reclaimed hayfield for late summer and fall weeds. We did not spray the spring weed load back there last year. We only clipped it. Now they're emerging. The seed bank is there, they're emerging. It's going to take a couple of years. Well, we've already been at it a couple of years. It's going to take some more time to eventually just keep at those weeds until that seed bank is coming down, 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 and every year there's less and less weeds growing. We're working on it. We're getting there. The spring weeds, the main weed in our reclaimed hayfield that I inspected yesterday is Buttercup. That's the main weed. The other weed will be plantain this time of year. So we have the Honda Foreman 500 four-wheel drive hooked up to the North Star little boom sprayer, 22 gallon, I think, maybe 25, I'm not sure. We have it loaded with 2,4-D amine, and the wind is calm today, beautiful sun on these weeds to make them really soak up this spray quickly. We're heading to the reclaimed hayfield to spray for our spring spraying weed control. The reclaimed hayfield is looking really good. We're very happy with it. We still have a weed load back there, hence we're working on today. That weed load is getting less and less, like I said earlier, but it's still there. There's some still there, and we're still duking it out with those weeds. But the grasses in our reclaimed hayfield are looking really good. I think our frost seeding done pretty good back there this winter. The lime is really helping. We limed that field pretty heavily back in January. Things are starting to look up, so we're going to head back to the reclaimed hayfield and start spraying. I noticed yesterday in our field inspections for weeds, everywhere there was somewhat of a weed load was new hayfields, places we had not sprayed before, such as the reclaimed hayfield and our new test plot extension. The area below our established test plot that we have expanded, that needs sprayed. There is wild strawberries coming up in that, and buttercup and dandelion. And today we're going to spray the test plot extension, the reclaimed hayfield, and we're going to spot spray a couple of places in our main hayfield and the established test plot. We're only going to spot spray a couple of places, very minimal. Okay folks, here is the main weed we're spraying for today. Buttercup. Very distinguishable by the yellow flower. Looks like a little buttercup, hence the name. Okay folks, here's a whole patch of it. See the distinct buttercup leaves. Okay, you can see as we go over here, there's a bunch of it, there's a bunch, there's some, there's some, there's some. It's everywhere in this reclaimed field. This reclaimed field has not been sprayed, spring sprayed for buttercup. The thing about buttercup, even with a rotary cutter, bush hog, whatever, clipping, it grows so low to the ground that clipping does not do much good. The answer to buttercup is 2,4-D. So here we go. The reclaim field is done. 4 miles an hour at the rate I was spraying. Hopefully this does the job. The Buttercup in this field's bad. Little sprayer done good. Let's move on. Spraying's done. We spot sprayed our test plot and sprayed the new test plot extension. A few new areas. We're trying to expand and make every blade of hay grass that we can on our farm. And because of that, we got a few smaller new areas that we're going to try to cut this year as well. And we frost seeded those, and they had not been sprayed before, so they all got 2,4-D. The reclaimed hayfield got a good dose of 2,4-D. Combining that with all of our clippings, mowings back there for weed control, and the additional lime we applied back there back in January, we actually put a few more 100 pounds per acre on that small reclaimed hayfield specifically for weed control, hoping that would help. And fingers crossed. It is a beautiful day here on the farm. It's probably 80 degrees mid-April. I got a report earlier that the crappie are up on the bank getting ready to start spawning. I've got a fishing trip planned for the next 2 days. So it's time to pack away the farm equipment and go home and get the tracker boat loaded up, hitched up, and ready to go fishing for a couple of days. Looking really forward to it. Looking really forward to our hay season this year. Our hay fields have greened up and are vigorously growing this spring so well that we're going to wait to apply fertilizer to our fields after first cutting. It just makes good sense that cool season grasses are going to grow the most vigorous in early summer and late summer. The hot part of summer is when they're not going to grow as well as your warm season grasses. They're still going to grow, but not as vigorously. So we are going to wait until after first cutting to apply fertilizer. And that should be sometime mid-May. As soon as we get our first cuttings off the field, and they'll probably be staggered about 2 weeks. We'll cut our test plot, and it'll probably be about 2 weeks later before we cut anywhere else. But as soon as those plots and fields are cut, within a couple of days after being cut, we'll fertilize each one. We have our fertilizer stacked up in the barn, stockpiled and ready to go, and looking forward to a great hay season for 2024. Thanks for being with us today here on the farm. It's been a beautiful day. We've got our sprayer cleaned out, washed out, and stored. Everything's looking great. We'll keep you updated as the hay season goes along. It won't be long before our content will be full of hay mowing and raking, tedding, baling, all that good stuff. So stick with us. And if you haven't, we'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to our channel. God bless you and your family, and I pray that y'all have a fantastic day.